All right, so now we're going to talk briefly about emergency bankruptcy. I know that sounds a little crazy, but let me kind of explain it to you a little differently. So a lot of times people will file bankruptcy because they are, as we talked about before, behind on their mortgage payments and they don't have enough funds to make those 6 months or 3 months or whatever it is that they're behind on all at one time. The forbearance process has failed for them for whatever reason, and now they're facing a foreclosure action. And quite often with a foreclosure action, your client won't even contact you until maybe a week or 2 weeks before the home is to go for auction. And so now we have in the state of Florida something called a right of redemption. What that means is that if you are behind on your mortgage and you're in a foreclosure situation, and you're getting to that stage where your home is going to be auctioned off, up until the auction point, you're allowed to redeem on your home and essentially pay whatever you owe to satisfy that mortgage company. Now, the reality of it is that if you were in that situation where you could pay that amount of money, then you probably wouldn't be talking to a bankruptcy attorney or watching this video at all. So let's just be frank. If you are in a situation where you have an auction pending, then a lot of times the only way to stop that auction from moving forward besides the right of redemption is to file an emergency bankruptcy, particularly an emergency Chapter 13 bankruptcy. And so what that does is that there is something called, it's a federal rule, it's called an automatic stay. And what that does is it stops the foreclosure action from moving forward while you're in that bankruptcy process. It's a short period of time. However, it does allow you to buy yourself time so that you could figure out what you need to do to bring that mortgage current. And so to explain it a little differently, John Smith is 6 months behind on his mortgage. Foreclosure action has already started. He can't make his payments. His house is going for auction Monday morning, and today is Thursday, the week prior to the auction. So his option is to contact Uncle Bob and ask for $1 million or whatever it is that he needs to pay to satisfy that mortgage. Most of us don't have an Uncle Bob that's sitting around on $1 million. So in that scenario, he contacts your office and says, hey, attorney, I need help. Can you please help me? So in that scenario, you can file an emergency Chapter 13 bankruptcy. And what that does is it stops temporarily that auction from proceeding and allows your attorney to create a 3 to 5 year payment plan so that you could, in theory, bring your mortgage current and save your home. Now, we've done these in the past, and the way they work, the mechanism is we'll file a bare bones Chapter 13 bankruptcy. We'll try to get as much information as we can from the client, and then we'll immediately file the bankruptcy petition, and then we'll amend that petition in a couple of days afterwards, so that we've then fulfilled the requirements for that Chapter 13 bankruptcy. But by filing the Chapter 13 bankruptcy that Thursday or Friday before the auction sale, again, that's going to be on Monday, we've then stopped that auction from proceeding further, at least temporarily. So it buys our client a couple of weeks of time so that they can figure out what they need to do. Oftentimes we'll get clients who are like, well, I have a buyer for my house who's willing to pay way more than what my mortgage company is asking for in terms of satisfying them. I just need 2 weeks of time. And so in that scenario, a Chapter 13 is an amazing scenario. I mean, it really helps folks out. But that is an emergency bankruptcy. Now, I've gone over the mechanics, but I'll go over it in detail. So we'll file a blanket Chapter 13 petition. It's roughly 60 to 90 pages. We'll file it with the bare bones information. We use a software called Next Chapter. There's also Best Case, and there's plenty of other tools out there. You could even fill out the paper forms and just send it to the clerk's office for the bankruptcy court. You pay the filing fee. It was $310, now it's $313. And then your fee as an attorney, you could roll that up into the repayment plan for the Chapter 13 bankruptcy. So a lot of times, and if you recall, we talked about this earlier, the no-look fee in the state of Florida for a Chapter 13 is $5,000. Your client oftentimes doesn't have $5,000 sitting around to file a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, so what you could do in theory is charge the client a very low amount of money initially and then roll up the rest of your fee in that payment plan that's going to go for the next 3 to 5 years. So you'll get paid. You'll get paid a small amount early on, but then you'll get paid the rest of your fee later on. So from a business standpoint, if you're okay with that, that's a great strategy that you can do. I know attorneys that only do emergency Chapter 13 bankruptcies. They do 1 or 2 a week, and that's how they make their bread and butter. So that is the mechanics. Once we file the blanket petition, we'll do an amendment. There is a cost to the amendment, but it's not that bad. And in the amendment, we'll then include the rest of the information that we maybe missed in the initial bankruptcy documents because we didn't have that initial information. And then once we amend it, we're going to be required to go to a confirmation hearing, a 341 meeting, and all that fancy stuff. But that is the mechanics that go after the bankruptcy has been filed. And assuming the confirmation hearing for the repayment plan is approved or granted, whatever you want to call it, then your client has now, or I should say you have then essentially saved your client's home and allowed them to bring that arrearage amount that they were behind on current. Think about that. Your client is facing a foreclosure. The house is about to be auctioned off. You could save that house. That is incredible amounts of power that you have as an attorney. So we talked about this briefly, but I'll go over it a little bit more. A lot of times people who are in a situation where they are behind on their mortgage payments, they're 6 months, a year, sometimes 2 years before the foreclosure action gets to the stage of an auction. And in that scenario, those are the folks that are prime examples of filing, or I should say prime candidates for those filing a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. Now you could also do the same thing in terms of an emergency Chapter 13 for vehicles. And I brought up the scenario early on, but like let's say you have a tow truck that you own. It's your primary vehicle for whatever reason. And you are running a towing business. You help people get out of ditches, you help people bring their broken down cars home, whatever it is, and that is your primary source of income. Well, if you lose that tow truck because that tow truck, let's just say, is financed and you're 6 months behind on the payments, well, now you've lost your primary source of income and you've lost an asset. So in those scenarios, you could in theory file a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, an emergency one, especially if you're in a repossession stage. A repossession stage meaning that you're behind on your car payments, your vehicle payments, and now the bank is knocking on your door saying, give us the car or pay us the money that you owe us. Now, in every single scenario, emergency Chapter 13 for a house, emergency Chapter 13 for a vehicle, it's very, very likely that your client will pay more overall than they would have if they were just current from the beginning. But that is a luxury that most people don't have. We have to be straightforward and honest with our clients. I know it's difficult for some folks to relate to what our clients go through. I grew up in a household where finance was very, very tight. When I finally started making money, I stupidly blew it up on dumb things, the fancy $1,000 dinners, the fancy cars, taking care of my siblings and so on. But the fact of it is that a lot of our clients have never been in that scenario. They live paycheck to paycheck. They are on food stamps. They are on SNAP benefits. Back in the day, we called it food stamps. Now it's SNAP benefits. They are getting government assistance. And because of their scenario, for whatever reason they might have gotten into it, they need your help. So, we've all heard this term, with great power comes great responsibility. So you as attorneys here, or I should say future attorneys, you have a great deal of power. You have to show compassion and empathy. And I'll talk about that a little bit later on in terms of the art of storytelling. But I say this all the time. Your storytelling is your forte. Your ability to show compassion to your clients is what's going to set you apart from those who are very successful in this business and those who are not. And quite frankly, your reputation will grow. I can tell you right now that I associate with attorneys that had fantastic reputations in law school because they had fantastic reputations in law school. My reputation was stellar when I was in law school because I went above and beyond to try to help as many people as I can. I wasn't a good student. I got C's. I got 1D in my 1L year. But the point is, if you have the ability to show compassion, your clients will relate to you and they'll be happy to pay you essentially whatever it is that you ask for. The license to practice law, in my opinion, is a license to print money. But again, with great power comes great responsibility. So you don't, and I say this all the time to my ethics students, you don't steal from your clients, you don't have sex with your clients, you don't mislead the tribunal, the court, the magistrate, whatever you want to call it, and you present your client's facts as best as you can without lying. And if you've done that, and you've shown compassion and empathy to your clients and to opposing counsel, your reputation will grow. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten a great result for my client because I've shown compassion and empathy to opposing counsel. Your reputation goes a long way. And I know this specific class isn't about ethics, character, and fitness, but I say this to all the students here, and all the students that I've taught over the years and all the universities I've been to, that at the end of the day, we have nothing but our honor and our reputation in this business. That license is fantastic. The ability to make money is amazing. But at the end of the day, our reputation is what's going to help us get to the next stage in our career. All right, change.